So just finished a complete stack out, removal, rebuild on this car. So it had a motor fault, noisy motor bearings, which is very common on these. So to resolve that was a 15-hour job. This is a customer's car rather than one I've bought as a project. The car did run, but it sounded really noisy and needed those motor bearings doing. And I've done several now. The design is just, well, it's not ideal. It's made for a production line. It's made to be fixed by just replacing major components rather than individual components. So this control box here that wraps around the motor, which is underneath, which is kind of there, and then the reduction gear is there. The end cover panel is here. So you can just see the bolt there and one there, and then that'll focus again. So people, you know, sort of say to me, I need to do something inside there, can I get that off? No, you can't, because there's the frame of the car and there's that cover panel. And it just means that lots of jobs on these cars take a long time. So to get that powertrain out, you take the whole front off the car. Some people try and do it a quicker way by taking it out underneath, but that's not the Renault procedure. And to be honest, you need a lift. And I think when you get in the swing of it, it doesn't really massively make it quicker. Maybe a little bit, but I do it by the Renault procedure. You have to take the whole front off the car. And it's just a long job. So that powertrain out and back in again is sort of 10-ish hours. To do this motor rebuild, you then got to strip the whole stack down, separate all the parts, and then you've got the motor, and then you've got to rebuild that motor, and that takes 2-3 hours. And there's no guarantee that's going to be perfect. This one went really well, sounds good, and I've done quite a few. But in a garage situation, they get one of these in, are they going to want to rebuild a motor? Not really, they just want to put another motor on it and get it out the door again. So it's going to cost people more for motors. And are people going to pay to have these major jobs done because of Renault's poor design? I'm not sure. I mean, this car is in really good condition. It had the noisy motor, but it worked, and the customer's going to get it back on the road. This is not a very old car. Yeah, sort of 6 years old. But yeah, I mean, I've got a white one featured in a previous video that's 8 years old. It's got a few different faults, and these cars are going to get scrapped for these faults. Whereas in reality, it's poor design. You know, the fact that it takes so long to do these jobs. EVs, why can't they be modular? The motors, okay, it's going to be a reasonable job to get a motor out of an EV. But, I mean, 15 hours is ridiculous, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous. And if you have a fault inside that PEC, that control box, and you take it to Renault, so this box, they won't open that up and change the individual components. They'll just replace that whole box, and they charge £4,000 for that box. And it's just really annoying, and it's why I can get these cars for very little money, or battery lease, literally. Well, that white one featured in the previous video, the lady gave it to me because the battery lease was such a pain to get out of. So are these big jobs on EVs worthwhile? It's just difficult to say. What do you think? And what issues have you had with your EV that have been major, and how easy was it to get it fixed? Because not every garage will do it. Okay, there's several garages. Not all of those garages will take on really major jobs. But it's a bit ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, come on. You know, a 15-hour job on a 6-year-old car. It's on 70,000, okay. But at this point, what would a petrol or diesel car need? A clutch? You know, what's that? Maybe 800, 1,000? Okay, it might have a dual mass flywheel and a bit of fun and games there, but it's not going to be 15 hours, is it? Realistically. So it seems a bit ridiculous to me. So this one's back on the road, which is great. But I'm doing these jobs one after another, and it seems a bit ridiculous, doesn't it? I mean, yeah, would you pay thousands to have your car fixed at 6 years old when it's done 70,000? If you liked it, it's good condition, great. But if it's 8 years old, if it's 9 years old, they're going to get taken off the road, aren't they? Which is ridiculous, but it is what it is. So what do you think? Is it worth it doing these big jobs? And really, should it take that long? EVs are a simple architecture, and it should be simple to do these jobs on them. But they're not building them for ease of maintenance. That's patently obvious. And the dealers will just take whatever route's easiest for them to fix the car. They don't mind if they're putting a £4,000 part on. It doesn't bother them. They can sell you a new car potentially. But obviously it makes a big difference to you. Renault also sometimes offer reconditioned components, so the air conditioning compressors are quite weak and the motors obviously have issues. They do recons of those, but they tell us they're always out of stock. So they're obviously not that bothered about providing cost-effective repairs. I mean, you could say there's a massive opportunity there for the aftermarket, for your independent garages, but the downside there is we're not quite there. I work with a lot of independent garages, advising them and helping them sort of through the Hevra network and other ways to get these cars back on the road, but it's pretty ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah, if you've had major issues with your EV, it'd be really interesting to know. Obviously, I do a lot of Renaults. I hear about other issues with Leafs and things, but yeah, if you've had major issues, how easy was it to get that fixed? Let us know. And if you had a really great service from your garage, yeah, shout them out in the comments. So there's another one done. I'm glad that one's done. I'm sure I'll be doing another one soon, maybe that white one. See what's wrong with that. But yeah, let me know what you think. All right, catch you later. Cheers.